It's white to move in today's daily puzzle and we are down a rook and 3 pawns, but black's king is exposed in the middle of the board and most of its pieces are on the back rank, not contributing to anything. So the first most obvious move is to take the open e file with the rook and deliver a check that way, because any other checks like knight g5 can be met with pawn takes and queen g4 check can be met with king takes the knight on f7. So the only check that works here is rook e1. Black only has one option and that is king to d7. Now this is the most critical part of this chess, as if we play queen f5 or queen h3, both of them can be met with king to c6. And from here on out we can throw in a few more checks like pawn to b5, but after king b6 we can play knight c4 check. After the king goes to a7, unfortunately we have run out of steam and there is no more checkmate, even though king looks extremely open to attacks. And if we try to move our queen this way in order to checkmate the king, we'll be simply one move too slow, as black can move its own queen away and open a safe square for its king. So let's go back to king to d7. Now that we know that c6 square is the critical exit square for black's king, we have to block it out somehow. So the only check that works here is queen to b5 check. That forces black to play the pawn move pawn to c6, blocking that exit. Now we swing back like a pendulum by playing queen f5 check. Black is forced to go to c7 square. Now we can lift our rook up to e7 and get even more tempo with the check. Now black has a couple of options here. Let's say they block the check with their knight, but then we simply take it. And if the king goes to c8, then it's a simple mate by moving our rook with a discovered check. And all of these squares are covered, so this is a checkmate. So the other option is to go to b6. But in that case, we have knight c4 check. And either of the two moves, king to a6 or a7, are met with queen to a5, checkmate. So this whole puzzle is based on checks, but the order they are delivered is significant. Let's look at another possibility, that instead of blocking the check with the pawn, what if the king just moves away? So after king to c8, we follow it up with queen f5 check. The king is paralyzed in its position, so the only way to block the check is with its knight. But then we can bring the rook up for a checkmate threat on d7. They have to block it with rook d8, and we have two ways to checkmate black here. The first is to take the rook with our knight, and after whatever black plays, they cannot stop the checkmate on d7. And the other option, which is most forcing, is to give up our queen for the knight with the check. Black is forced to capture it, then we play rook e8 check, and after their rook comes back, we grab it for a checkmate and they cannot take as it is supported by our knight. That will do it for this one. Thank you for watching and follow for daily puzzle explanations.